All right. Well, we're going whether you're ready or not. So...
Did your phone bloop at you?
If you have any more sniffling or smacking you want to do into the mic, get that out of the way soon, because we're live.
I was thinking about smacking D's nuts into your mouth. Should I get that done now or save it?
Well, I mean, my microphones shouldn't pick it up that much.
I think we're good. Yeah, we're all right.
Is that fine?
Yeah, I think so.
You want it right there?
Oh, you know I want it right there.
So I did my Valentine's thing yesterday, or last week, and I found out this week that Valentine's Day is actually banned in some countries.
No.
It's banned in Pakistan, India, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. They just outright ban them. I mean, Saudi Arabia, they ban Valentine's Day and women driving. Like, sign me up for that fucking utopia. That sounds amazing.
Is the punishment for giving somebody a Valentine on par with the punishment for breaking Ramadan? I can only assume...
Saudi Arabia still beheads people, don't they? Don't they still cut off hands and stuff?
Depending on circumstance, maybe.
That's so amazing. It's amazing that people just ban a holiday like that.
At least a handful of countries are saying ban Valentine's Day.
And good for them. I mean, we got a lot to learn from other cultures. I'm all for diversity and multiculturalism. If it means bringing in more of that kind of...
Right. For the sake of diversity and variety and social inclusion, we should incorporate laws like stoning people for handing out crappy John Cena Valentines.
You know what else just occurred to me, too, is that isn't alcohol banned in Iran and Saudi Arabia? I'm pretty sure it is. I think it is in a lot of Muslim countries.
I don't know.
So, I mean, these are the kinds of laws that sober-thinking men put on the books.
Yeah.
Men who aren't being held down by just having their brains clouded by alcohol all the time.
Clouded by what?
We should learn from these people. Okay. I think everything's ready to go.
All right. Should we play the theme song first, or should I ask you how your week has been?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really have anything too exciting to talk about with my week. Although I did have the most satisfying instance of road rage I've ever had in my entire life. Usually when somebody does something really obnoxious or dumb, the best thing you can do is flip them off and go about your day. But no real justice is ever served. Do you get that? Do you have that sense in you where when somebody really pisses you off on the road, you always leave just never feeling like karma served anything to this person in a way that they should have? I will be bothered for the next... Like, I shit on you for, like, remembering stuff from, like, 30 years ago, like losing your boots at school and stuff like that. But I will spend the next hour thinking about how this idiot is such an idiot and doesn't deserve to have a driver's license.
Or air to breathe, yes.
But not this time. This time, I was at Crossroads Commons. There's a set of stop and go lights before you turn onto the main road coming out of the Crossroads Commons to go to the second stop and go lights, which take you out to the main drag on McDill Avenue, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm coming down the first stop and go lights and they're green. And I'm like, all right, we're going to make it. The guy driving in front of me is driving this shitty, rusted out minivan. And he is going slow as fuck. I don't know why. There's no reason for it, but he's just puttering along right up to the stop and go light. And I'm like, whatever. Okay, these people exist. You just have to deal with it. He's not doing anything he's doing something obnoxious, but it's not road rage inducing obnoxious. He's just driving slow, whatever. Gets up to the stop and go light. It's still green. The green arrow's disappeared at this time, so now he's got to wait. And I'm sitting there waiting, and I'm kind of looking around him. I'm like, are there any cars coming? Okay, there's a couple cars coming. They pass. Still green. Nobody's coming. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? And finally I lay on my horn. I'm like, let's fucking go. And he looks up. Like, I can see him kind of like look up and like look around, and he starts to go forward, but then he stops because the light starts turning yellow. And I'm just like, oh, what an idiot. Still, I'm practicing a lot of patience and stoicism. On the road, that's the best place for me to do it because I road rage like a motherfucker. Light finally turns green again. I'm like, all right, here we go. He finally leaves. He pulls over. There's 3 lanes right there. He pulls over into the left lane or the right lane. I pull over into the left lane and start driving past him because the light is green going out of the commons area onto the main drag. He's in one lane. I'm in the other. We're the only cars here. There's nobody else around us. So I start driving by him because he's still driving slow as fuck. I don't know what this guy's problem is. So as I'm passing him, I look over just because I have this sickness in me that I want to see if this person looks as fucking stupid as they are.
Oh, a lot of us have that sickness.
And so I just like glanced over and he flips me off like I'm the asshole. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? So this would be something that I would rage about for the next hour.
It might have been a defensive flip off. Like, I know I did something wrong. Don't judge me. Probably not, but maybe. I'm just
you don't have a right to flip somebody off if you did something wrong.
I'm not excusing him. I'm just saying that might have been it.
Well, it's a good thing you're not excusing him. Because like I said, he's still driving slow as fuck. I'm doing like normal speed. I see the flip off and immediately my road rage kicks into gear. I swerve out in front of him, like directly in front, like cut the motherfucker off. He slams on his brakes and he's right behind me and I don't give him like any room to maneuver behind me. Mm-hmm. And I'm driving really slow and he's driving slow behind me. As soon as I see that light turn yellow, I gun it through the intersection and leave this fucking idia stuck at the red light.
He doesn't have time. Yeah.
He doesn't have time to make it. And I'm like,
but he will have time to think about what he's done.
Yeah, or I'm hoping that he's raging about how much of an asshole I am. Let him do that. Fuck him. But I drove away, and for perhaps the first time in my life, I felt satisfied by a road rage. I drove away thinking that felt really good. That justice was served today. And I was so happy and in such a great mood the rest of the day.
You didn't spend the next hour feeling incomplete and feeling negativity.
I felt great.
Yeah, which you normally would have.
I felt like I just took a bunch of heroin. That I was absolutely ecstatic the rest of the day.
I felt like I mainlined a bunch of those little rock hard pastel Valentine's candies that I chopped up and just sniffed. Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know who that guy is. If I ever see him again, I'll know who he is because he had very identifiable stickers on the back of his minivan. I don't understand why people do that. They put shit like that all over their car and then they act like an asshole on the road. People like me are out there. If I see his van in a fucking parking lot, I'm letting the air out of his tires, at least one tire. I've done shit like that before. Yeah. Why would you do that? Why would you make yourself so identifiable? Whatever.
Your virtue for today is empathy, without a doubt. Do you have something for the theme song this week, or do I have to come up with something?
I thought you were going to do something. I didn't do anything.
I've got something.
Okay. Ready?
Yes. Welcome to the Mindful 90s podcast, the only podcast that covers every topic from the 90s, from Macarena thinking your boyfriend is fine to Corey giving me scrotum valentines. I messed it up, but I mean, it's back there. Oh, it's not my scrotum valentine now, it's Boomhauer's, so.
That wasn't bad. Valentine. Bringing up the scrotum valentine.
Yeah. Rhyming it with Macarena thinks everybody's boyfriend is fine.
Is that what she really did in the song? She thought everybody's boyfriend was fine?
More or less. That was my takeaway. And if I'm wrong, I don't care. Fuck that song.
I think whores just want a whore, whether they think your boyfriend's fine or not. I want to hear from a woman on this perspective, but I think it's just a power play. Isn't it? Isn't it just about nabbing somebody else's boyfriend just for the sake of showing that you're the dominant female in that situation? That's what I've always assumed it was. I've never assumed that it just had to do with this guy was so wonderful.
It's more about playing the game and having control, you think, rather than rather than your Johnny actually tingling over this guy's
for sure.
Sure.
It's more about being Cersei Lannister than anything else. It's just about the power play.
That barely didn't go over my head. I know who that is, but I never watched that show. Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, whatever show was super overrated in the last 10 years, I probably didn't see it. But
you missed all the good stuff.
Yeah, because I was busy watching wrestling. This is a shirt from Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast called The Broken Skull Sessions. That's why it's a skull wearing podcasting.
That's not a 90s t-shirt.
It's not a 90s t-shirt, but I'm counting it because Stone Cold's from the 90s. That's when he broke. That's when he got popular. And Austin 316 says, "I just whooped your ass."
What is the 316 thing for?
He was feuding with Jake the Snake Roberts during a time period where Jake Roberts was going through a religious phase in his real life, and he was entering it into his character for the storylines.
When was this? I don't remember this as a kid.
It didn't last long. It was about 96, maybe 97. But
I was definitely done watching wrestling by then. I had grown up by then.
A lot of people say the Attitude Era was born that moment when Stone Cold did this. He beat Jake the Snake in a King of the Ring match, and then he goes and he cuts a promo with, I don't know, the Fink or whoever, and he goes, "Jake the Snake, you're up there, you're talking about your John 3:16 and all that. Well, Austin 3:16 says I just whooped your ass," and the crowd just went bananas and wouldn't stop, writing it on all their signs at next week's Monday Night Raw. So they're like, we need to merchandise this yesterday.
Yeah.
And thus was born.
I remember all the merchandise.
Yeah, thus was born the patented.
I had stopped watching wrestling by then, and still the merchandise was everywhere.
Austin 3:16 shirts, white text on black shirt, man. I don't own one of those, but
the wrestling Jesus.
Basically. Amen. What? So I'm a little bit sore and a little bit tired because I've actually been working a little bit in the last couple of days.
Working?
Yeah. I've actually been doing stuff. I got a buddy who runs his own business, and I've been helping him out with it. And I've been lifting boxes and cutting and breaking wood and all kinds of cool stuff. And I've spent the vast majority, because I quit my job at the end of February last year. I've spent the vast majority of the last year not doing much of anything physical. And so now I'm working out muscles. I'm possibly building a little bit of core strength. But one of the other side effects of that is your body has to get reused to doing stuff. So I'm all sore and all groggy. I'll sleep well tonight though.
Why don't you have a gym membership and just work out?
I'm busy with other projects that require sitting at my computer and staring at screens way too much. But
just for an hour or two a day.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I wasn't giving a good explanation. I was making an excuse, clearly.
Well, of course. But there is, I don't know. There's really no reason to not do that if you don't have a 9-to-5 job, to spend an hour or two every day working out.
Well, when I got the results back from my blood labs from the VA clinic, it said in black and white I need to change my diet. So I did it. I did it because someone told me to. It's weird, man. It's weird being me and being kind of libertarian, but not really.
But it's only doctors you listen to, and those are like exactly the worst people to listen to about anything.
It's weird being me, floating between being centrist and being libertarian, because sometimes, and there's not always a rhyme or reason to it, sometimes I want to be autonomous, and sometimes I'm not going to do the shit I know I need to do unless somebody fucking tells me to.
Yeah, but a doctor is never going to tell you to work out. They will never, ever do that because they do not believe in a benefit between exercise and your health. Doctors have a very weird, and I think it's by law that they're not allowed to talk about the connection between like vitamins and minerals and working out and being healthy. Because I think their only job is to prescribe quote unquote medicine, which has a very specific definition in legal terms. And I think they're not allowed to. Wasn't there a guy in the 90s who wrote a book, something about cures, about how certain kinds of food can act as cures, and the FDA actually came after him for claiming that for basically saying you can be a healthy person.
That definitely rings a bell.
I can't think of the guy's name or what the name of the book was. It was very successful.
If any of you know, let us know.
He got really famous from it and made a ton of money on it, of course. And then they just came and like took it all away. Like the government just came and said, hey, you can't tell people that vitamin C is good for you. How dare you? The FDA hasn't done the studies to show that vitamin C is good for the human body. That's how they spin it. There hasn't been any trials on vitamins and minerals, so therefore it has no scientific medical usage, which is absolutely insane. But basically, I think that's why doctors are not allowed to tell you
to exercise,
to eat better, stuff like that.
Fucking red tape. There's always some red tape somewhere. Weird.
Okay, so they told you to change your diet, but what did they say?
Less triglycerides. I think we talked about this a little last week, didn't we?
But what's triglycerides though?
It's bad cholesterol, and it comes from mostly food, bread, sugar, oil, the bad fats. And it's because for like my whole adult life, my diet has been almost nothing but just like cereal, bread, pasta, pizza, donuts, candy, crackers, cookies. Everything on the
that's all heart disease.
Everything high on the list are triglyceride foods. It's cheap and it's easy and it's generally gratifying. Even though sometimes I feel grossed out eating it, I'm like, well, it's here and it's easy and it's cheap, so I'll pretend I like it. No, in the last 2 weeks,
but basically all they said is cut down your triglycerides
and take a vitamin D supplement, and I literally have been feeling noticeably better.
Imagine how much better you would feel if I actually went to the gym and actually ate real healthy food.
I'm getting there, man. For the last week, I've eaten a stalk of celery with peanut butter on it once a day, every day, banana every day. And because I'm eating that stuff, I'm eating less candy and stupid shit. And I've been feeling better.
But there's nothing wrong with eating that shit. You just can't eat it all the time. That's the only thing.
Right, yeah.
I love pizza. You were here for the Super Bowl. I fucking gorged myself on a pizza, and I had like donuts and all kinds of junk food.
I mean, triglycerides stay in your system for a long time, right? I think you're the one who said that.
I have no idea.
So like,
I don't even know what a triglyceride is.
If I'm at a high level all the time and then I give myself a spike, this spike is going to go it's going to make me clip like in audio, like it's going to make me go way past into the red. And anyways, I'm looking forward to getting employment sometime in the near future and having an active job, something where I can actually move around and do stuff. I think it'll be good. The last year that I've been doing a whole lot of mostly nothing, it's been good, but I can feel it's starting to run its course, and I'm getting a little antsy, and I want to do something. So
after 6 months, I was so sick of that shit.
Yeah.
Like in 2020, when
it took me 10 or 11
had to quit my job.
Yeah.
It was fine for the first like 6 months. I was like, wow, I got all this free time. I can do all this shit. And then I just got bored out of my mind. And then I started doing a little bit of shit here and a little bit of shit there. And now I'm just busy all the time.
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks too. But
for me, the month of February, it's the month every year when everything just exponentially sucks more. So I shouldn't really be.
Why is that?
Because February fucking sucks, dude. You kidding me? It's the coldest month. It's the month when you are the most sick of winter and are most ready for it to be over, because it's already been happening for 3 months at this point.
Yeah, but you're never outside. You just said you sit in your apartment all day.
Yeah, but the barometric pressure still changes, and that has an effect on people, I believe.
Probably.
I was going to say, don't tell me you don't agree, because if you think vitamin C has a big effect on people, but the barometric pressure doesn't.
I think your environment.
I was getting ready to fight you.
But I mean, what do you think the barometric pressure does?
If you have weird stuff going on with your nerves, it probably puts more pressure on your nerves and just makes you more stressed out for no reason. That's kind of what I figure.
I don't know about that.
You know, dude, what if you were to wager a guess, what do you think the barometric pressure does
to the average human?
To change their mood, to change their
I don't know that
physical wellness.
I'm not sure that it would necessarily change their mood.
Well, then dang it, I should Google it, and we should touch on it a little bit at the top of next week's episode.
It's not something that would affect you if you're just indoors all the time. I mean, how much of the barometric pressure do you think happens inside your house? Like, how much does that change?
Well, I do keep...
We're not living under the ocean or anything. Like, there's always barometric pressure changes. Aren't we just used to that all the time?
Why is shit crazy when there's a full moon? Whatever the answer to that question is, I think it's something along the same lines for when the barometric pressure is too much of this or too little of that.
But does that actually happen, though? I've heard people say that it does, but I've also seen people say that any studies that suggest that are majorly flawed in a lot of different ways.
I think we both have homework to do. I think we have to look up this stuff and bring it in at least briefly.
People say the same thing about the heat. If it's really, really hot, there's a spike in crime. Because people just
get a wild hair up their ass?
No, they lose their shit. Because people are already in a miserable place. So if you're already in a miserable place and your wife starts yapping at you, you're more likely to snap in that moment than you would be when it's less miserable outside. And that's fine, but the people that they're talking about are already miserable people, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not like if you're a well-adjusted person, you're not going to snap and club your wife to death or something because it's too hot outside.
Well, I'm saying my health already sucks, but not quite to the point. My health sucks to the point where it's towing the line of problematic. And then when the barometric pressure is too high or too low or has a drastic change, it puts me just over that line of, okay, now I feel really fucky. That kind of thing. There's nuance to all this stuff. Anyways, I wasn't prepared to converse about this, so I don't know exactly what to say.
I wasn't at all.
The moral of the fucking story is I'm a sensitive boy. So should I start with my first topic, talking about how I'm a sensitive boy from the 90s?
First, let's talk about how Alicia said you definitely need more D in February.
Yeah. Hi, Alicia. What up, girl?
You need a less sensitive lady to give you the D. And
who got that good D? All right. Well, my first topic is Denis Leary. I kind of want to bring in, just because I feel like it, I want to bring in my favorite comedians from the 90s for the next few weeks. It's been on my mind ever since we started this podcast. I'm like, I have 3 definite favorite comedians from the 90s. And I'm not even thinking about the first half of the 90s, because the first half of the 90s, every comedian was just kind of the same to me. Oh, he's funny in this way. He's funny in that way. But it was when I discovered...
Well, they're all coming off the 80s. The 80s is when they had the big stand-up boom.
Yeah.
And then... but I don't know. There was a lot of really remarkable comics that came out of that time. A lot of them did sound the same, but like Sam Kinison wasn't the same. Or
you're a little older than me. So for the first half of the 90s, I was between the ages of 8 and 12, 8 and 13. Once I turned 13... it started to kind of, I don't know, maybe it was a little bit more that I was more aware, but also maybe it was just because Denis Leary and Chris Rock coming on the scene and just doing comedy that I felt was next level. Maybe that was part of it too. I don't know. Maybe it was just the perfect storm. But
how did you know about those guys at that age? Because those guys were, you either had HBO or we saw them because we rented VHS tapes. That's how we knew them.
Through word of mouth from friends and, renting VHS tapes without a doubt. And just knowing them from, okay, I'll be talking about Chris Rock next week, but okay. So Denis Leary, I want to say I got turned on to his stand-up comedy because a friend of a friend might have lent me a DVD or something, or recommended him to me, and then I went and rented it from
DVD.
VHS. VHS is definitely what I meant. Good catch. And it was his first stand-up called No Cure for Cancer. It came out in 93, but I didn't see it until like 95 or 96.
Yeah, we didn't see it till 95.
Right. And I rented it, and I just, in no time, I was just like instantly like, this dude is my new spirit animal. Like the way he rants in a very hilarious way, in a way where he sounds well informed, but he's probably just really self-assured. You know, I'm like, yes, I love that. I want to be more like that. That's awesome. And
is that the one that he had all the songs on?
I think the song,
the I'm an Asshole song,
that was on Lock and Load, which came out in 96 or 97, a few years later.
I saw them both, but I don't know which one was which.
And it took me just a little bit of time to realize it, but I'm like, oh, I have seen him somewhere before. If you remember Dr. Dre and Ed Lover, as in like not that Dr. Dre, but the other guy. There
was another Dr. Dre?
In the early, oh geez, we're getting off topic here. In the early 90s, there were 2 Dr. Dres.
There's only one Dr. Dre, as far as I'm concerned.
There was Dr.
Who's
Dre,
this imposter that you're talking about,
as in Dr.Dre from NWA, from Dre Day, from The Chronic. And then there was another guy who spelled out the word doctor, Dr. Dre, and his cohort, Ed Lover. They were VJs on Yo MTV Raps, probably until 92. Probably from like 88, 89.
He spelled out doctor.
And he spelled out doctor, yeah. And he was a big fat guy, and they were rappers, but they were also kind of a comedy duo to some degree. And they put out a movie called Who's the Man? And do you remember that movie?
No.
It was this weird thing where the community was like laxing standards for getting a job as a cop because they needed him so badly. So these 2 dudes were like, why not? Let's see if we can get jobs as cops. And they got those jobs very, very easily. And it was a comedy movie, but it also had kind of a somewhat serious plot line to it. And like the chief of police was Denis Leary.
So did those rappers get to go around like beating up black people and stuff? And
it was a while ago, so I don't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure they generally didn't do that.
They didn't go to like guys they didn't like and just beat them, bludgeon them to death, or maybe not quite to death.
Correct. They did not do that.
See, that would have been a funny plot line.
I think the worst they did to their friends was razz them a little bit. So, or I mean anybody really. Yeah, Denis Leary was the like chief of police or one of the higher ups at the department in that movie, and me and my friends were like, "Oh yeah, I have seen him before." And he played an angry, ranting, short fuse kind of guy in that movie too. So it's just kind of what he's good at doing, you know?
Yeah, he's Irish, and a lot of them were cops.
Yeah,
A lot of them were going around. They were the original going around beating up people.
because it's just not because they're angry or anything like that. It's just because it's what Irish people do, right?
Yeah, just fight.
I don't know if I'm kidding about that. And then, yeah, Denis Leary, man, he became like my spirit animal. I'm like, this guy gets me and I get him. And I thought he was great. I thought his jokes were stinging and poignant. And just the fact that he was always aggravated, I'm like, this guy talks like my inner monologue sounds. Real quick sidebar. In 11th or 12th grade, I had a creative writing class in English. I can talk about this because it was the 90s. And our beginning of class writing exercise was to pick an emotion and then write the word is and then come up with 5 examples of what that emotion is to us.
Anger is...
Mine was aggravation. I'm like, in a moment of just like not overthinking it, just like, what's the first emotion that comes to mind as the emotion I'm the most familiar with? It was a no fucking brainer. It was aggravation. So that's a testament to, it wasn't horniness. Horniness was second. Don't get me wrong. And I came up with some pretty good stuff. Aggravation as a dog that won't stop barking was the first one I wrote down because, Jesus. Okay. Anyways,
You didn't add your mom or Bob to that list?
They might have been lower on the list, but a dog that won't stop barking was number 1.
Well, that's kind of your mom, though. That's like everything you say about your mom. She's always barking. And she's got a mullet, too, so she doesn't even look good while you're doing it. Like a dog, at least, you can pet. And, I mean, if it's a good-looking wolf dog or something, it's visually pleasing. But your mom has none of that going for her.
Let me just say, Buzz's girlfriend, woof. Some of you will get that. Wait, was the first Home Alone from the 90s or the late 80s?
I think it was 90s.
I think it was like 91. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, Denis Leary, usually pretty smart, usually pretty poignant, but sometimes ridiculous. And I mentioned before, guys like him they seemed next level to me. They seemed like they were onto something that was a new generation.
What was the levels?
That's why I said seemed, because I don't know if I can really put it into words, but I guess I'll try because we've got another hour and a half here.
I think I can explain it. I think it went from...
You know how The Simpsons is next level from other cartoons that try to be funny but also edgy? Like, he was the Simpsons of stand-up comedians, you know? He just did it better.
But I don't think they were ever trying to be edgy, though.
I think they just made it look effortless.
No, I would say a lot of the comics that came out of the 80s, I think stand-up turned a corner where it was a lot more social commentary and not Jerry Seinfeld commentary, where, peanuts on an airplane. How about that?
What's the deal with airline food?
You know what it is? Do you know who Jim Gaffigan is?
Oh, yeah.
Jim Gaffigan belongs in the 80s. He belongs in that tier of comic. Whereas Denis Leary belongs in the tier with the Chris Rocks or the Bill Hickses or
You mentioned Sam Kinison, too.
Yeah, Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
Well, Sam Kinison was kind of a mold breaker, too.
Yeah.
Because he came in and talked... He made tragedy funny, kind of in the same way that somebody like Doug Stanhope would be very good at doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I would explain it. So not even my topic.
I love me some Stanhope, by the way. You said you've seen him 3 times?
3 or 4 times, probably, yeah.
You got me beat. I only seen him twice. But You mentioned Bill Hicks. A lot of people say that Dennis, and they mentioned this on the roast of Denis Leary on Comedy Central, that he just ripped off Bill Hicks's entire deal.
Why? Why would they say that? I think they're two completely different comics.
A lot of fucking people love to say that, love to dismiss Denis Leary and say, oh, he just carbon copied Bill Hicks. I don't think so either.
Well, what's their reason for doing it?
I don't know, man.
You really came in unprepared today, didn't you? You weren't lying.
Come on, chat. Let us know. Why is Denis Leary such a Bill Hicks?
Yes, I would never make that claim because I don't see it.
I wouldn't make that claim because I think every comedian is derivative of something. I mean, come on. Even like Chris Rock is derivative of Bill Cosby, Richard Pryor, even George Carlin. I don't know. People, I think Denis Leary is great at what he does, and people are like, "Oh, he's awesome. I kind of want to take him down a peg."
He's just an angry Irish guy.
a smart, funny, angry Irish guy.
That's his whole shtick.
Yeah.
Just like Andrew Dice Clay is the angry misogynist. Is that what you would say about him? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of...
To put it nicely.
Hilarious.
I don't really know what else to say about Denis Leary other than when did you discover him because you saw the Asshole song first? Or
no. I was on this big kick where I was just buying every stand-up comic that I could find on VHS. A lot of these guys appeared on HBO first. I think HBO was doing this whole thing at the time where they were bringing all these so like Eddie Murphy and Sam Kinison and all the guys that I mentioned before. They were giving them an audience on HBO, and that was kind of an HBO thing. But then they were putting them on VHS. And so I was on this kick. I didn't have HBO, so I was on this kick of just renting the VHS tapes and getting high and watching all these guys. And it was hilarious. So.
Right on. Yeah. What can
I didn't even know who Denis Leary was. I've never seen that movie with the guys, that became cops and went around and beat their buddies. I never saw that movie, but Denis Leary, the first I had ever seen of him was that, what was the first one, did you say?
No Cure for Cancer.
Okay, so it was that one. To
this day, I want to say most people, when they hear Denis Leary, they probably think Rescue Me. That
What's
show.
That? That fucking fireman show?
Yeah.
Oh, God. You think? That's what people know him from?
It had to have lasted at least 8 seasons, maybe,
really?
Maybe even like 10 or 11.
Whew,
yeah.
Wow.
It was on for a fucking while.
Did you ever watch it?
No, I
never saw it either.
When it was popular, I just had too much else going on and I never found time to watch it. I wouldn't be opposed to starting to watch it now though. Fuck it.
Oh, there's no way I would sit through and watch that. Was it supposed to be a comedy firefighter show? I thought it was like a drama or something.
It was like a little bit more than 50% drama and with jokes in it, I think. I think it was mostly supposed to be serious. Not quite Sons of Anarchy serious, but still.
And she burned the baby and the souffle. What the fuck is wrong with this woman? Was there jokes like that?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine, yeah. Yeah, man, fucking I keep saying, what can I say? What can I say? He made an imprint on me. He made an impression on me. Like Denis Leary, it was perfect timing. Like mid 90s, Danny Tanner being my TV dad had kind of run its course. And I'm like, all right, now that I have a pretty good moral foundation, moral compass, what else is there to...
So then you needed somebody to come along and like beat the shit out of your moral compass for you and show you that there's a better way. And that's what Denis Leary was doing.
Yes? Question mark? Yeah, maybe. I loved his jokes. Every single one of his jokes just like made me laugh in a way that, Bobcat Goldthwait, Stephen Wright, whoever's tapes I rented in the early 90s. I'm like, yeah, they made me laugh and they were funny, but they didn't make me laugh like this guy did. It was probably the energy. Denis Leary's energy was fucking through the roof. He at one point was doing this joke where he's like just making fun of the French accent and French pronunciations of words, and he starts doing this like dance around the stage to indicate that he's an insane French person just going all the time, and he has to stop himself and take a breath, and he says, I am really out of control with this French thing. Holy shit. I'm like, I love that. I love the self-referential nature of it, but I also love the fact that he did it in the first place. I'm like, I do that too, because I'm worked up all the fucking time. So again, spirit animal. He was my fucking spirit animal. I love that guy. After he put out those two, No Cure for Cancer and Lock and Load in the mid-90s, he didn't put out another 1 hour special for the rest of the 90s. He didn't put one out for a long fucking time, actually. I
didn't know he had another one.
He did another one in I want to say it was 08. It was somewhere in that vicinity of 08, and it was called Douchebags and Donuts. And it was weird because he was older and he was making money off Rescue Me. He knew he didn't have anything to prove. He didn't have that same Spitfire attitude anymore. And a lot of his comedy was on a projector screen, and he was like pointing to stuff with visuals. I'm like, oh, well, no one's going to be buying this on CD because it wouldn't translate if you listen to audio only. It didn't hit the same. I still enjoyed it, but if he had put that out in the mid 90s and that was my first introduction to him, I would have dismissed him as being mid, you know.
Well, maybe not, though, because nobody else was doing projector screen comedy either back then.
I'll agree with you for now until I think of someone.
Were there people? I mean, the only one that I can think of that was even doing any kind of sight gag shit was Gallagher.
I thought you were going to say Carrot Top.
Yeah. He was a prop comic.
Again, I'll agree with you for now until I think of somebody.
But it was all safe comedy, and I think that's where the next level is. I think the next level is just the edge that they put on it. I don't think that anything that you watch from the 80s is going to seem very dated. Even a lot of the stuff that you watch from the like a lot of Bill Hicks's shit is very dated and just not that funny.
That's a good way of putting it. Up until the mid 90s, there was, if a comedian was going to make the decision to not be safe with their comedy, there's a certain way in which they tried to be not safe. Denis Leary helped usher in a new era of, well, let's be not safe with our comedy in this other new way. I think he was one of the first ones to really do a new generation of unsafe comedy.
Well, I think the 80s was all about people talking about sex and relationships for the first time, and that was considered new and edgy.
Like Eddie Murphy's stuff?
Yeah. Eddie Murphy from the 80s is funny enough, but it's dated.
Yeah. Man, me and Diley were watching some TV shows about stand-up comedy a couple weeks ago, and it made me start doing some Google searches, and I came across Rolling Stone magazine's list of top 50 stand-up comedians of all time, and they put Eddie Murphy at number 25. Instantly, I'm like, this is why Rolling Stone magazine is a fucking rag, because there's no way that you're going to convince me that after all Eddie Murphy has done for comedy, the fact that he single-handedly saved Saturday Night Live from fucking getting canceled, the fact that Raw and Delirious are masterpieces, you're not going to convince me 24 people in this world are better stand-up comedians than him.
24 comics?
There's no fucking way. No.
Who did they have at number one?
Richard Pryor and George Carlin.
Number one?
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
George Carlin and Pryor are number one and number two of every comedy list you'll ever find in your fucking life. I think Eddie Murphy should be fucking number one, maybe. I would at least put him top 10, but I mean...
I don't know. It would be really hard to rank something like that. It's like trying to rank bands.
All right.
Who's the best band of all time? It's just, there's no way you can do that. There's no way I can do that.
Now, picking your favorite children, that's easy, but I mean...
For sure. It would be way easier for me to pick my favorite children if I had a bunch of them than it would be to pick my favorite comic or my favorite band. Absolutely.
Who brings you a beer faster, right?
Yeah, whoever's just serving me at the time, yeah.
Right on.
But don't you think that way about comics and music too? Aren't you ever just sitting there and listening to something? You're like, wow, this is definitely one of the greatest things I have ever heard ever.
Yes, but then there's also a voice saying, man, this is just really what I'm looking for right now in this moment, so I'll unfairly give it more cool points for that.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why you can't really rank something as a best of all time.
Like, I got the idea to make like a Facebook list of my favorite albums of an entire decade, the 2000 aughts, and I got the idea to do it in 2010, and I'm like, I can't do it now. I can't do it now when that decade just ended, because I cannot give an objective opinion on some of these great albums that came out in the last year. They seem great right now. I fully believe that they're great, but have they stood any kind of test of time? You got to give it a little time. Now that it's 2024, I think I could be ready to rank my favorite 25, favorite 50 albums of the 2000 aughts.
Yeah, but isn't part of it just being where you're at in the moment with them? Like we were saying just a minute ago.
It depends upon what the purpose is of the list that you're making. If I'm going to make a definitive list, it has to be more objective. If it's just conversation, then go ahead and be as subjective and opinionated as you want, while knowing that you might change your mind later. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. I won't even attempt to put together lists like that because I can't even do it. There's no way.
I can tell you off the top of my head, though. Well, would you count an album that came out in 2010 to be part of the... Well, no, it wouldn't be part of the aughts. It would be part of the tens, the teens. Mm-hmm. My favorite album from the 2010s is probably Murder by Death's Good Morning Magpie. I think when I made my rough draft of my list for the 2000 aughts, I think my number one was, it might have been Versions by Poison the Well, or it might have been Rabbit Habits by Man Man.
This is what you're doing instead of going to the gym? Just making lists of your favorite bands?
Making definitive lists of things that I'll never definitively make my mind up on. That's, yeah. Critical thinking to no end. That is what I do with my time instead of working and going to the gym.
Well, working I understand.
Cheers.
Like most work is just mind-numbing stupid bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
That you can do without. You're better served coming up with lists. Are you better served coming up with a list instead of going to the gym? Nah, that's a different discussion.
What if I hopped on an exercise bike and tried to make these lists into the recorder on my phone while I'm getting that extra adrenaline spike from bike riding?
Yeah, that would work.
It probably would. I just need a piece of paper from a doctor telling me to.
But you're supposed to be lifting weights. That's the thing. Like, men are supposed to be lifting weights. Jumping on the exercise bike is something women do more of.
Men are supposed to be lifting weights. Am I right, people? What's the deal with guys and cardio?
What is the deal?
Yeah.
They all need more ball hearts. That's what they need.
They need more scrotum tines. Thanks again, by the way, for that scrotum tine. It's very thoughtful.
Till next year.
All right, what do you got?
Next year will be a wiener time.
I'll drink to that.
All right. So I came up with this topic after last week. You told me that it was going to be President's Day. And I thought you meant on Wednesday. I thought you meant next Wednesday is going to be President's Day. So are you going to do a President's themed thing? And I wasn't going to at all, but I'm like, yeah, maybe I could do that. I didn't know President's Day was on Monday. I guess I should have assumed, because isn't it always on Monday?
Stuff like that, yeah.
It's such a worthless holiday.
I'll be more specific next time. Yeah.
Nobody cares about it. I don't watch TV, so I'm not exposed, or listen to the radio, so I'm not exposed to all the great President's Day sales that the used car lots and the mattress firms are putting on.
I think Arbor Day is probably the only holiday people care less about.
Than President's Day. Arbor Day should be a bigger... Planting trees is better than fawning over some
I'm not giving opinions. I'm just saying what people generally care about, express care about.
Yeah, they don't have Arbor Day sales, do they?
They don't have Arbor Day anything. I don't.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Aren't we becoming more green as a society? Shouldn't we have more Arbor Day sales?
Shouldn't we save the planet?
I feel like that would go over very well, especially selling, like if you have a used car lot that's selling Teslas or something. Why wouldn't you try to capitalize on Arbor Day?
Yeah. Hybrid car lots should have an Arbor Day celebration, car extravaganza. Absolutely. Someone's going to hear this and steal our idea.
That's fine. All they're doing is killing trees, though. You need that CO2.
You really do.
Okay. Anyway, the point of all that, before getting wildly sidetracked, like I always fucking do, is that I wanted to bring in something president-y. Now, in the 90s, we had two presidents. We had George
H.W.
So he was H.W.
Yes.
The George that did 9/11 was just W.
Just W.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this former CIA director was H.W., the guy that was the vice president of Reagan.
Yep.
Who probably tried having Reagan assassinated.
Wouldn't put it past him.
I wouldn't put it past him. Definitely a guy who has never, ever done anything shady. Because if we know anything about CIA directors, they are only looking out for the best interest of all Americans.
Always on the up and up.
So there was him. And then there was that good-looking ladies' man, sax player, Bill Clinton. He was the other president. So what would be a good thing to talk about for President's Day? Do we go Bill Clinton or George H.W. Bush? But then I thought...
Or talk about the vice presidents, maybe?
Sure, maybe. Or talk about even Ross Perot, because he had a chance to be elected at one point.
He got an unprecedented percentage for being an independent.
Yeah, and notice that they haven't allowed third parties on the debate stage since then.
Actually, I have noticed.
Yes,
yeah,
there's reasons for all that shit.
Let me just toast to Dana Carvey's Ross Perot impression. It was one of the funniest things of the 90s. Good Lord. Can I finish?
I bet he voted for him too. He was a Ross Perot voter. But then I thought, you know what? We're very progressive people. We're very feminist here at Mindful 90s. So why are we just talking about these men who were presidents? Why don't we focus on the women behind the men who made the men what they were? So I thought the perfect person to talk about would be none other...
Drum roll, please.
...than Monica Lewinsky.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
So Monica Lewinsky, this darling of American politics, the first lady of 90s presidential politics.
When people think 90s presidents, what's the first thing they think of? Probably Monica Lewinsky.
I would hope so.
I would hope so.
She has secured her place in history like none other. In fact, she has so much secured her place in history. Get this. I got a fucking laugh out of this. Whenever I do one of these deep dives, by the way, one of the reasons I'm bringing in Monica Lewinsky is because I have no fucking idea what went down. I have no idea all the ins and outs. It was just background noise to me at the time. I'm just a young man at the time, and the only thing I ever hear about the Monica Lewinsky stuff is not from my TV or from social media. Obviously, it didn't exist. But just from people talking about it at work. I worked at Wendy's at the time, and so everything I knew about the scandal came from them. And I never had a clear picture of what went down, like the timeline of everything that happened. So I thought it would be fun to really take a deep dive into this because I'm just curious about it. I'm curious about the history and learning everything I can about it. So I start with Wikipedia. Anytime I do just kind of it gives you a good overview of information. Here's the person, here's kind of the highlights of their life, all that stuff.
And it's always organized the same way, pretty well.
Yeah, and so from there, I can take some of this information, I'll come across a piece, I'll be like, this is interesting right here, and then I'll go research, deeper on this particular topic. Now, on Wikipedia, how they always have like the little blue label that just basically says what you're best known for, what you're famous for. Monica Lewinsky says former White House intern. The woman is 50 years old. And this is all Wikipedia can say about it. She's had a whole life.
They're saying she peaked.
Former White House intern. The most famous White House intern. Can I say that? I think it's true. She is absolutely the most famous White House intern in American history. No doubt about it. So everybody seemed to be really shocked by the whole thing. That was my initial impression just as a kid watching this kind of all unfold. Boomers, of course, are all sitting in front of their TVs seething about anything political, but especially this. This is a big scandal. Oh my God, the president is having sexual relations with some young intern.
The running joke was he was getting blowies under the desk from her and stuff like that.
Yeah. But that's 80s humor, though. That's 80s unedgy humor. What shocked me as a kid, to be honest, is that here's this good-looking, powerful president, Bill Clinton. Dude, he's a musician. He's got all this stuff going. He's good with the ladies. Why is he fucking around with this pig? That was my initial thought as a teen. There was nothing I found attractive about Monica Lewinsky at all. I'm in my sexual prime too, by the way. I will fuck just about anything. And so I'm looking at Monica Lewinsky and I'm like, are you kidding? You're the fucking president. You're the most powerful person in the entire Western world. And this is who you're cheating on your pig wife with? Are you kidding me?
Is it just because she was the youngest female in the workplace? Like, was that?
I don't know. Those are the answers that I want. I want Bill Clinton to explain himself.
Get your shit together, Wikipedia. Answer those questions.
Now, Monica Lewinsky did not play hard to get, I'm guessing. So it actually came out later on that she had carried on an affair with her high school drama teacher who was married. And according to her, she was 18 and she had already graduated before she said, but come on. I highly, highly doubt that's the case. They probably started fucking around while she was still in high school. But that's just the thing with this girl. This is kind of what she does. Like, she likes this for whatever reason.
A little bit of a pattern, yeah.
Anyway, before I get too side... Oh, there's the beautiful couple right there. There's Bill, and this was kind of a famous picture. We saw this a lot. But yeah, man, I mean, look at that hair. That hair is awful. I mean, this is her government employee badge. Apparently, this is the picture that was on her government employee badge. Okay. I hate that haircut. And she just, she's got kind of a big mouth.
The Rosie O'Donnell do, the precursor to the Rachel.
So hideous. Just absolutely disgusting. There's nothing about her style that's...
You already established 2 weeks ago you were a big fan of the 90s ushering in a new era of women's hair, calming down and taming a little bit.
But by the way, this is... this is mid-90s too.
Yeah.
So
she was trying to ramp it back up.
Yeah, yep. She was on the forefront of trying to bring back the Karen types of haircuts. And maybe that's just what I found so hideous. I mean, this is the haircut that you find on like women who go to church and bitch a lot, who complain about service at Denny's a lot. That's kind of what she reminded me of. Not impressed at all. So that was the big mystery to me. Not what everybody was pissed about, that the president is fucking some intern in the White House, or in the Oval Office, I guess. But somebody, he could have done so much better. There wasn't a woman alive in the United States at the time who didn't think Bill Clinton was at least a good-looking guy. He is a good-looking guy. And it's very sad that, you know, he's married to somebody like Hillary, who's just like a power-hungry monster. She has no sexuality to her at all. I guarantee it.
I'm sorry, did you say power-hungry monster murderer? Is that what you said?
No, I would never say that about Hillary. I would never accuse her of doing anything like that.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
There's no way.
I'm not insinuating
No, I think
anything.
I think she's a wonderful person. I think she does as good a job as she can possibly do in all situations, and I really think she just has all our best interests at heart.
I thought you were going to say it has all of her eggs in one deplorable basket. I really did think you were going to say that.
No. The last thing I want to do is sit here and badmouth Hillary Clinton. So anyway, so here's what happened. Here is the rundown for those of us who had better things to do at the time, like drugs. All I wanted to do at this time in my life, all I wanted to do was work a shit job and party all the time. And that was it. That's all.
I know the basics of the story of what happened just because of Saturday Night Live, but you might still tell me.
No. Tell me what you know about
it. They were having secret meetings, and at one point there was foreplay with a cigar that was apparently inserted into her. And apparently there was also another incident where somehow his semen ended up on her dress, because that was exhibit whatever when the whole thing went to court for like forever and ever. Mm-hmm. That's what I know. So there was evidence and there was conjecture, and it turned into a case. I want to say it turned into a case because there might have been another person working at the White House who made passes at Bill Clinton and he didn't respond to them. So they like kind of blew the whistle and got the ball rolling on the Monica Lewinsky stuff.
No.
Something like that?
Not exactly.
Okay.
But a lot of that is true. What happened was she gets a job working at the White House because her parents have connections. And they do their thing. They have their secret little meetings. What really blew this whole thing up is another scandal that Bill Clinton was involved with. A lot of people don't know that right around the mid-90s, the Clintons were embroiled in like 5,000 different scandals. There was Whitewater. There was, which I still don't know what Whitewater is, because, again,
busy.
I'm a kid. I have better shit to do than, it has something to do with land. Okay, that's all I know about it. Who gives a fuck? So there was Whitewater, and then, and the other thing was Bill Clinton was already being investigated for sexual assault allegations from when he was the governor of Arkansas. So there was a woman named Paula Jones who had brought this suit.
I haven't thought about that
Bill
name
Clinton.
in 30 fucking years.
But while this is going, I remember hearing all of these names just as background noise, but never knowing what their roles were or how this all came together. Here's another name.
We were kids trying to have fun. When we hear this being talked about on TV, it's Charlie Brown's teacher's voice. It's all womp womp womp. Like,
but see, I'm not even watching TV at this point. I've already moved out of the house. I'm working my shitty job and just partying all the time. Okay. So when this stuff was going on, I was like 17 or 18 when this is going on. So I'm not paying attention at all. I don't even have the TV to remotely fill me in.
That's right. Yeah, okay.
So, because we weren't watching TV at all. We were just doing drugs nonstop and drinking and partying and stuff. Here's another name that you haven't heard in 30 years. Kenneth Starr. There's another one. This guy was the lawyer who was trying to go after Hillary and Bill for the Whitewater thing.
Okay.
That is where his role was. He got involved with the Paula Jones stuff to try and get evidence related to Whitewater in a way to show that these people are shady and try to gather even more evidence.
Okay.
During the investigation of Paula Jones's accusations, this is where Monica Lewinsky's name comes up. This is all later. This is all 1 or 2 years after she was an intern. Because here's the thing. Apparently, the government has policies on how to deal with hoes who are getting a little chummy with the president. Because at some point, her supervisors or her superiors in the intern office, whatever she was doing, well, we know what she was doing. They come in and they move her to the Pentagon. They get her out of the White House. They get her away from Bill Clinton. Obviously, the people behind this, they know something's going on and they don't want it to blow up. Obviously, Bill has no interest in stop it. Why would he? Come on. He's the president, for God's sake.
They don't call him Slick Willie for nothing.
They move her to the Pentagon. That was a huge mistake. That's how all of this shit blows up, is this move to the Pentagon.
Because people were asking why?
No.
No?
What do women do a lot when they get together with their coworkers?
Oh.
They tend to get a little chatty. And they get chummy. You get chummy enough with your coworkers and you start talking about what's going on in your private life and it escalates. Here's another name you haven't heard in 30 years. Linda Tripp.
Oh, God.
Linda Tripp was her coworker at the Pentagon.
If I'm recalling correctly, John Goodman in a wig was Linda Tripp in all the skits that covered it on
I wasn't even watching Saturday Night Live back then. I don't even know. I don't remember any of this.
For anybody who remembers that, I want to say he was Linda Tripp.
So Saturday Night Live was doing a whole running, keeping up with the whole unfolding of the scandal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And Janet Reno was Will Ferrell. We're not there yet. Sorry.
Anyway, she gets chatty with Linda Tripp and starts telling her everything that's going on with Bill. And Linda Tripp starts recording their conversations while she's telling her all of this.
I remember now.
See, I don't remember any of this.
Yes, I remember now.
The phone recordings and all this, had no idea any of this was happening. She knows that there's this Kenneth Starr investigation going on. So she takes all of these recordings and turns them over to him. In the meantime, she's still being buddy-buddy with Monica and encouraging her to save all the gifts that Bill gave her, including this dress that you're talking about.
The dress.
So all of this is getting Monica roped into this whole Whitewater thing that is like the overarching legal battle that's going on that's involving the Clintons. But at this point, it's kind of all just Bill with the sex allegations. Because that's what he does, man. He's a playboy. And he's just... Paula Jones, he was found not guilty, I believe, in the whole Paula Jones thing. You know what? Probably. He was probably fucking all these broads. Yeah, there's a line of them that we just have no idea about. I guarantee it. So anyway, she gets chatty. All this stuff gets turned over to Kenneth Starr. This is why the Clintons kill people, okay? This is why...
Allegedly.
This is why people like Vince Foster end up from suicide with 2 gunshots to the back of the head. That's why this happens. They're not wrong. They understand that shit gets out of control. And if you don't rein in certain people at certain times, this stuff explodes. Why is Monica Lewinsky still alive? Here's why. Because Hillary didn't find out about her until I'm spitballing here. This is what I think happened.
I'm ready.
Bill kept it to himself as much as he could. Hillary didn't find out about it until everybody else found out about it when it broke in the media. That's what I think happened. And then I think they were standing at the double sink, brushing their teeth together, and probably having an argument about Monica Lewinsky. And I guarantee Hillary's sitting there and she's like, Jesus, Bill, why can't you just keep it in your pants? For Christ's sake, I can't believe this mess you've caused, blah, blah, blah. And she wasn't talking about the dress either. She was like their political careers.
She could have been talking about both, though. Anyways.
The thing is, it was only damaging to their political careers because for some reason back then, people had this idea that presidents are somehow better than the rest of us, or that there's some kind of dignity with the office of presidency. Why? Why would you ever think? They already had JFK. JFK was with everybody. And that was back in the 60s. Why were people freaking out about Bill?
And Nixon. Different kind of amoral, or immoral.
So, news of this all breaks. Paula Jones has all of her... No. Linda Tripp has all of this recording that she turned over to this lawyer, Kenneth Starr.
The Starr Report.
It gets out to all the media and becomes the big sensation that we know it today. Monica Lewinsky testifies, a sworn affidavit saying nothing happened between them. She had a talk with Hillary probably and realized she needed to keep her yap shut. Cat's already out of the bag. You already said you did.
It's on audio recording. Yeah.
So she's trying to protect Clinton.
Yeah.
And of course, Clinton goes on record saying exactly the same thing. He gets on national TV. He has a sit down with the American people and says, I did not have sexual relationships.
I don't have a pencil, but I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Yep.
Monica Lewinsky is offered immunity from being charged with perjury if she comes clean and says what happens. So she spills the beans on she just gives it all up. She doesn't want to go to prison. She's freaking 20-something years old. She says, we did not have intercourse. We just did all these other things.
Yeah.
I don't believe that for a second at all, but whatever, who cares? And she says it happened like 9 or 10 times or something between 95 and 97 or whatever it was. Again, I highly, highly doubt it was only that many times.
Right.
Bill Clinton is pretty much fucked at this point. Do you remember do you remember him getting impeached?
Yeah.
Do you know why he got impeached? It wasn't the Whitewater stuff. It wasn't for having sexual relations. It was very specifically because he perjured himself. Because he perjured himself by saying he did not have sexual. So again, another Clinton legal battle is unfolding because of this. Because of all the Monica Lewinsky stuff. He perjured himself and now he's being impeached by Congress. Do you remember what happened? Was he ever found guilty?
No, he wasn't found guilty.
No.
It lasted for fucking forever, but he wasn't found guilty.
Do you know why they didn't find him guilty of something that should be very obvious? He lied, right? When he got up in front of everybody and said, I did not have, or whatever he said.
Did the prosecutors drop their case?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. They wanted him charged. They wanted him convicted.
Somebody's lawyer ran out of money?
Nope.
Okay. I don't know.
Because he didn't actually lie. Not in the legal sense. And here's why. Because when he said that he wasn't having sexual relations with this woman, he said it in the present tense, as in, right now, I am not having sexual relations with that woman. Maybe I was doing it a long time ago, but we're talking about right now. And that's what I'm talking about anyway. Everybody else is just assuming that I mean back then.
Everyone else is living in the past, man.
Right. I'm trying to get on here. So
it was a semantics technicality. That's it.
Lawyers and politicians are fucking brilliant. That's why I laugh at the whole concept of rule of law. Okay, as a libertarian anarchist, the whole idea of rule of law is insane to me because of shit like this.
Yeah.
Okay, because no matter what law you come up with, and you think, no matter how airtight you think it is, you got people like Bill Clinton who's going to weasel their way out. And good for him, by the way. I want that lawyer if I ever get into trouble, because that is fucking brilliant. But you know what? Here's the thing. He also said that he didn't have sexual relations with, or that he didn't engage with any kind of sexual relations with her, okay? But he did, because Monica Lewinsky herself said that he did.
It was the evidence was on tape, and the evidence was on the dress.
But that wasn't perjury either. You know why? Because he didn't actively take part in it. The things that were sexual in nature that happened to him.
And he was
not by him.
And he was passive.
That's
okay.
right. So he cannot be convicted of engaging in any sexual improprieties, clearly,
or lying about what he said.
Because, well, all he said is he didn't engage in any sexual activity.
Yeah. Well,
she did it to him. He was just an innocent bystander, just trying to president the best possible way he could president. And along comes this intern, like interrupting him when he's trying to have important meetings with Mikhail Gorbachev and trying to help the Soviet Union rebuild, or the former communist Russia rebuild. And she just comes in and starts blowing him. What's he supposed to do? He didn't want to be rude. You don't want to like tell the girl who's blowing you, like, look, I don't think this is good. I'm a married man. Okay. But
you're here to take the edge off from what I'm doing, and I don't want to be rude to you because you seem so eager and ready. Yeah, he made a presidential executive decision.
Yeah,
in the moment.
He did, and he wasn't wrong.
I'm not going to say he was wrong either.
So, nothing happened with any of this, because again, he has the best fucking lawyer on planet Earth, and kudos to him. Now, the boomers who hate Clinton, like the right-wing boomers, are going to sit there and I heard this from my family too, just seething, oh, can you believe he got away with, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, who cares? You know,
old Slick Willie did it again.
Yeah, good. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing what he got away with. And yeah, so nothing came of it, and he was left to just fly on out to Epstein's Island.
I laugh from nervous tension, not because that's actually funny.
And, you know, Hillary knows this shit is going on. She's not in this for him. Okay. She's always just been somebody who is after political power in every way.
Which we support as feminists here at Mindful 90s.
That's right. We support Hillary.
Yes.
So she goes off and she does all her political shit. He kind of, well, we know what he did after that. What happened to Monica after this? Have you heard anything about her since the scandal?
She wrote a book. I know she wrote a book or two or three.
Oh, Bill Clinton wrote a book too, by the way, his autobiography. And she actually, I found some shit online where she was bitching about him not telling the whole truth about their whole relationship. I kind of want to go read her book now and see what she had to say about it. But
I wonder if she narrated her own audiobook.
Oh, I don't know. That'd be something. I'd like to hear that. So she...
My other guess is after she wrote a book or two, did she go from campus to campus giving speeches about this stuff? It seems like the logical next thing. You asked, so I'm telling you.
She went out and got a degree in psychology.
Okay.
I don't know why. And then she started... she did a reality show, like a dating reality show, I guess.
Okay.
And people tried organizing a boycott. I don't really understand all the hate and the shade that was thrown at her, but yeah, they tried to organize a boycott and get rid of her, whatever. But, she got into some anti-cyberbullying thing. So she's got this TED Talk on YouTube that talks about cyberbullying and how she was kind of patient zero because she had to endure all the media scrutiny 40 years ago or 30 years ago or whatever it was. So she talks about that. She tries to kind of capitalize on her fame as much as possible. Jenny Craig hired her as a spokesperson for a while. So just a lot of menial stuff like that, but nothing really big or successful. And so she's doing this whole cyberbullying thing now. But, yeah, that's it. And so I bagged on her for just being kind of this hideous pig.
I would bag on her for lying under oath. Yeah, she made a deal to get out of it, but...
That's the legal system, dude. That's how it works. Again, that's why rule of law is such a joke.
I suppose, though, that's an intense situation to be in. So maybe if I was in her place, I can't say I wouldn't have lied under oath either. Or lied under oath as well. I don't know.
But what do you do? She's just some 20-year-old intern who suddenly has the weight of the entire U.S. government legal system crashing down all around her. She has no fucking clue what to do at any given time.
I would be afraid of Hillary.
Yeah. I guarantee you she had a talk with Hillary at some point, and that probably scared her. But anyway.
A very mob type of talk.
So I was saying how hideous she looked. This is what she looks like now. This is her in her 50s.
Hey, girl.
She's got a great haircut. She is nice and fit. She's got great style. She is pretty fucking hot. So here's 40-year-old me looking at 50-year-old Monica Lewinsky and telling 17-year-old me, hey, cut this woman a break. Because she's pretty hot. Look. Monica, I know you're single. I don't have much to offer. I'm not rich or powerful, but I have something going for me. It's a marriage. You and I, we can ruin my marriage together too. I'm kind of well known in Stevens Point. It would be a huge scandal here. Huh?
If you want to go dress shopping sometime, Corey will go with you.
Yeah, that's it with her. She's got kind of a history of getting with some of these dudes.
Well,
the first woman of American politics.
There you go. 90s American politics.
Yeah.
A lot of what you said was stuff that I knew from Saturday Night Live, but a lot of what you said I did not know, because Saturday Night Live covers things in such a way to cater to their ability to make fun of it. They didn't necessarily give a linear explanation of what really happened with the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Order.
It was all just puzzle pieces.
So yeah, this was a lot of connecting dots.
Yes.
So thanks.
It was a good history lesson.
Thanks for doing your homework.
And thanks to Monica Lewinsky for becoming a very beautiful woman.
And making President's Day mean something. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. It makes us all wish we could be a president. If you're not getting blowies from interns, why the fuck are you even being a president anyway? Like, what's the point? Oh, you want to save the country? Come on.
You're not going to save the country. What are you, Arbor Day?
It was John Goodman that played Linda. Just confirmed it. Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's your memory. And then we got some crazy chick in here yelling at me.
Right on.
Apparently she doesn't think too much of hot Monica Lewinsky. Hey, look more like Monica. Don't come at me with your shit.
I would agree with that. Didn't we just plead a case for why she is an American treasure? Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
My next topic is The Crow. The first Crow movie.
Why not the second one? I hear that the second one's better.
No, you didn't. You definitely didn't.
Critics agree.
So here's a weird little story about how I let me see if I can remember this all accurately. A weird story about how I first discovered the Crow movie. So my mom, I end up in a situation where me and my mom are at my godfather's house and they decide they're going to go on a date night. What exactly led up to...
Wait, who? Your mom?
My mom and my godfather, a guy who I had only met once or twice in my life.
Decided to go on a date.
Yeah.
With each other.
We went to his house and then they went on a date, probably for like old time's sake kind of thing. Not like a date where they're dating, but like a...
Like old time's sake.
Like a fake date. Because I think if he is my godfather, they must have been close in some capacity when I was born, when I was very little. And he lives like outside of Point, kind of in the middle of nowhere, kind of in the woods.
Maybe he used to cut her hair.
Oh God. I want to believe he's cooler than that. So this would have been I was thinking about it. I guesstimate about the fall of 95. That's my best guess, is that this happened in the fall of 95, which was about a year and a half after The Crow came out. It might have been spring of 95, but I want to say it was fall of 95. And we end up at his house and we look at some Fiat that he has for sale. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that they made 2-seater cars. It was the first time I'd ever seen one in my life. I thought it was very weird, like commercially, like not in a Shriner part of the parade, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of a clown car.
a little bit. It was.
Why wouldn't somebody else in your life just have a clown car while you're growing up? Why not add that to the pile of weird shit that you already have to deal with? Why not?
If you got the money for it, right? Speaking of having the money, this isn't like the most rich person thing ever, but it's worth mentioning. My godfather at his house, he had his own model train set, but he built his own ledge that went around the top of the wall right up by the ceiling, but a little bit below it. Mm-hmm. And the model train went around the ledge around his entire house, which couldn't have been cheap. And I just thought it was the most awesome shit ever. I thought it was so cool.
Are you inheriting this guy's estate when he dies? Isn't that what being a godson is all about?
Well, if so, I mean, I need to find out if he's dead now. He might be, for all
Maybe they're looking for you.
I know his first name. I'm not going to say it, but I don't know if I know his last name. Maybe if I did.
You should have stayed in touch with that guy.
Maybe I should do some detective work. That model train he had going was awesome. He also told me that he knew a guy who was a pro wrestler who went by the name Man Mountain. And I've Googled it a few times and I'm not finding much. I'm finding names that are similar to Man Mountain, but not to a T, Man Mountain. So I don't know if he got the name wrong or if he was just lying, but he said he knew a big 500-pound guy who was a wrestler. So, and so whatever it was that led up to this moment, we're at his house. They decide that they're going to go on a date, kind of for old time's sake. And the impetus for why we went there was to look at the Fiat. I think they bumped into each other at like the store and they're like happy to see each other, you know, and like, so they needed an excuse to like get together or whatever. The whole thing was weird, but at any rate, they went out on their date and I'm at his house by myself and they're like, Here's the couch, here's a pillow and blanket. Just, he had a satellite dish. So it was like, watch whatever you want on satellite TV until you fall asleep, and we're good. And so I'm flipping through the channels, and I don't know what to watch. And I come across this Twilight Zone episode. And I think I only saw like the last half of it. And all I remember about it was the dude asked for immortality, but then like ends up getting enslaved. I don't know if he was enslaved by aliens or some sort of weird monsters that came from nowhere. I don't know what it was. And they enslaved him in like a rock quarry. And so the episode ends with the camera panning out and him going, no, like a blood-curdling scream of no, because he realizes he has to work in this rock quarry as a slave.
That's how they all end.
For eternity, because he had wished for immortality.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, mood is going a little up and a little down, because I was psyched about the model train set, but now I'm kind of bummed out because I'm like, that's a really sad and gut-wrenching ending. That makes the philosophic part of my brain go to the no-no area. I don't want to think about shit like that.
See, and I loved the Twilight Zone. I was exactly the opposite. I could not wait to catch an episode of the Twilight Zone because I knew it was going to twist my brain in a certain way that maybe I found uncomfortable, but I absolutely welcomed it.
I would have been,
but it would have been a way that I had never thought of before.
Yeah. I was about 13, so it certainly would have creeped me out more if I was younger than that. So I did okay with that. I start flipping through the channels, find the menu. I'm like, what am I going to watch? And I'm like, oh, just in a few minutes, like 10 minutes, The Crow is coming on. And I'm like, I've heard of this movie. I've heard mostly good things. Perfect. I'll watch this. And I watched it, and it was just... I've used this phrase before with stuff that made an impression on me in the 90s. It was everything I was looking for at that point in time. It was such a good outlet for my angsty, brooding side, my pretentious wiener kind of angsty, brooding side. I'm like, this movie is my spirit animal in all the areas where Denis Leary isn't. You know what I mean? Denis Leary is comedy and aggravation, but this is my... I'm cool but misunderstood side kind of thing, you know what I mean? And I'm just going ahead and saying it like, I don't think everybody who loves The Crow is a pretentious wiener. I'm saying my main reason for latching onto it is because... Kind of
like how 90s chicks viewed The Craft. Like that same thing.
Yes, basically. Yep, it was, oh God, it was my craft. Fuck, man. now I'm trying to remember which one came out first. I think The Crow won. I think it went The Crow 1, The Craft, and then The Crow 2, if I were to guess. But, oh God, it was my craft. So
the Twilight Zone creeped you out, but The Craft... Boy Craft, like, man, that made you feel something.
It did, because it was a little bit more easily digestible than the idea of being a slave for infinity. The movie had a little bit of everything. It was mostly drama and action, but there was some comedy in it. And there was even a tiny bit of horror because, you know, spoiler, there was some stuff with eyeballs and there was some stuff with blood and there was some stuff with fire that was tiptoeing into the horror genre, but not too much. And the movie had a little bit of everything, and I thought it was so cool. And I did recognize Brandon Lee from one thing, and it wasn't right away. It was like halfway through the movie. I'm like, Jesus, that's the fucking guy from Showdown in Little Tokyo, the supporting actor to Dolph Lundgren's main character in the movie. And the only reason I saw Showdown in Little Tokyo is actually because one weekend when we had gone and gotten our groceries, my mom said, pick out a video rental because I'm going to the casino in Nakusa tonight. And my brother was either out of town at relatives on his side of the family's house or at a friend's house or something. So I was going to be home alone. My mom actually, I'll say this positively about a member of my family. My mom trusted me to stay home alone. on a Saturday night and not mess things up and break stuff and do stuff I'm not supposed to. Probably because she knew that she had me in check pretty well. Anyways.
Well, she had shit she wanted to do, so she kind of really didn't care. She was just kind of... I think it's more that, and you still being brainwashed even to this day to the idea that she trusted you and just believed that you would keep everything in check.
I want to believe that she believed I had a tiny bit of integrity.
Well, you weren't your brother. She knew you weren't your brother. That's what it came down to.
But no, it was mostly that she had shit she wanted to do, which is why she didn't take the time to verify what video I picked out. I grabbed Showdown in Little Tokyo, rated R, for violence and some nudity and some sex scenes.
Oh God, getting a tape with boobies in it when you're a kid is the best fucking thing in the world.
The sex scene was with Dolph Lundgren and Tia Carrere's character, but the body double was not. It was a body double, not Tia Carrere.
Oh, so, what?
Right? Yeah. What the WTF, man? Because those were not the same boobies.
I was going to torrent it too right after this because I wanted to see that, and then you told me, I'm like, fuck that.
And I recognize, I'm like, holy crap! That's the guy that was the other guy besides Dolph Lundgren in Showdown in Little Tokyo, which I had seen 2 years prior. And so I'm in, and let me add this. I'm in somebody else's house, not unfamiliar house, unfamiliar couch, unfamiliar television. Your senses are a little bit heightened when you're by yourself in an unfamiliar area. But my senses were heightened in a good way because this movie was kicked ass and I was just so thrilled and enthralled.
And suddenly you're like, let's see you enslave immortal me in a fucking graveyard. I'll teach you something.
If you fuck with me, the crow will save me somehow. It doesn't work that way, but I'll figure out a way to make it work.
Dude, I don't remember anything about that movie.
Really?
At all. Is that what happened? The crow saved him?
He died, but he died under really unfair, fucked up circumstances. And sometimes when that happens, a crow can intervene when you're on your way to the afterworld and stop it from happening and bring you back to life.
Okay.
Bring you back to life so you can get vigilante justice on the people who fucked with you. So the movie's over and I'm like, that was such a good fucking movie. And I wasn't expecting this. Immediately after the movie was a making of featurette, which is the same 20, 30-minute making of featurette that's on every DVD and every VHS copy of it. Mm-hmm. And I watched this making of, and I'm like, that's so neat. I love every little bit of this. I'm just eating up everything. And I'm like, I love this so much. This is so great. And the very last thing that happens at the very end of the making of featurette, the camera work goes slow motion. You see Brandon Lee turn his head a little bit and smile. The camera fades out to black, and then you see Brandon Lee, whatever year through 1993.
Oh, yeah.
And then everything's quiet, and the TV goes black, and I'm in this room by myself. Jaw is on the fucking floor. I'm like, he died? I'm like, what? I absolutely could not fucking believe it. It was like shock. I'm like, I can't believe that. Every emotion that I was feeling up to that point just got turned on its fucking head. And I don't know. I think for whatever reason, I decided that was super meaningful to me. So I decided The Crow, the movie, Brandon Lee, everything was super meaningful to me. It was an imprint. You want to talk about a moment that was an imprint? It was that. That moment was weird and it was real and it was cool. So I went out and bought a Crow t-shirt and wore it to school. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, oh, it's no big deal. Me and Brandon Lee just kind of have this connection from this. We shared a moment. It was no big deal. It was just really special. You know, that kind of thing.
Not really.
Not really, indeed. And let's not forget.
You really have connections with your TV people.
I do.
Danny Tanner and The Crow and
Denis Leary, if you want to count that. And and I'm going to be bringing in more of those topics. At some point, At some point, I
should try to really find something that had a huge impact on me that happened on TV and not in real life. Because I feel like all of my major formative events were all real life events. So I would really have to sit and think about something that I saw on TV or heard on the radio or something. I don't know.
I feel like I just didn't have many real life events in the 90s because I was too hindered by circumstances. But in the late 90s, I had a few once I got my license. Anyways, let's not forget that the soundtrack was fucking awesome. Do you remember the first Crow soundtrack? It had Stone Temple Pilots. It had The Cure. It had Nine Inch Nails. It had.
I remember it being like that.
Yeah.
I remember it being like a gothy.
Yeah, the best parts of hard rock, goth, industrial, metal, all seamlessly rolled into this one kick-ass soundtrack. Fuck yeah, dude. And then the Crow City of Angels came out in 97, and it was good.
The best movie ever. I don't know if I ever saw that one. I'm pretty sure I did not.
The main character chick, portrayed by, I want to say the actress's name was maybe Mia Kirshner. I had a huge fucking crush on her for like a year.
But you wouldn't buy her boobie posters because you're principled like that.
What was I thinking, man? What was I thinking? That it would have been the best of both worlds. It would have been a poster of talking about a chick and why I like her for being hot, but also there's art to talk about attached to it. Man, why did... I know I came across at least one poster. It was probably...
Yeah, how could they not have had a million
It's
of them?
probably because the posters I saw were her and the second Crow together, and I was probably a jealous fuck. And I'm like, no, I'm not buying that if it's not just her.
Just buy the poster and cut them out. And put yourself right there.
And I'll buy a poster of Dexter from The Offspring and cut his dreads out and tape them onto my head.
Yeah.
So I'll be the version of me that I want to be who got the hot chick. It really...
You could have been one of those guys.
What's hilarious, what I'm laughing about is the fact that this poster could still be made right now.
Yeah. You can still do all of this right now. You have more access to everything you want now than you've ever had in your life.
I could take back my youth.
You can buy the dreads. You could probably get a sex doll fashioned after her. You can probably do all of that stuff.
Somebody chimed in. I want to see if it's related to the Crow.
I still have a Crow t-shirt from high school.
Here's the thing. I had a Crow.
Wait. Hold on. Alicia, did you see The Crow 2? And if you have, then how is it the best movie ever?
I had a black long sleeve. Do you still call it a t-shirt if it's a long sleeve t-shirt? Anyways, it was a Crow shirt, and it was
like with the sleeves that come down like this?
like what I'm wearing. Is this considered a long sleeve shirt or
Yeah,
a long
that's
sleeve t-shirt?
That's a long sleeve shirt.
It was just the Crow's eyes, and that's it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's something.
It's mysterious, right,
Yeah.
baby? If you want to know more, maybe you should talk to me, and I'll brood at you for a while. And I don't know if I still have it. I have some boxes where I'm not entirely sure what's in them because they're at the very bottom of the stack. But if I have any shirts in those boxes, it's probably there. I hope I still have that shirt. And if I find it, I will wear it on this show.
Didn't you dig out all your shirts when I was making fun of you for having so many of them?
I'm saying I think all of them, definitely most of them, but I think I've dug out all of them. But like there might be another box or two that has more. Because, yeah, there are still a few unaccounted for. Either they're
Did you have just one Crow shirt or multiple Crow shirts?
I only had one, and then my girlfriend in the late 90s had a Crow City of Angels shirt that was considered...
Of course she did. How pretentious.
That was
Holy shit.
Do you remember when movies would make promotional T-shirts that were purposely made so thin that they would fall apart after you wash them twice? Because it's only meant to be temporary. It's only meant to be a promotional material.
No, but that's brilliant.
I think it's evil, but whatever. Yeah. She had one, and she never wore it. She was never going to let anybody else wear it because as soon as you start to wear it, do anything with it, it's just going to fall apart. Yeah, I only ever had one Crow shirt, and I wore the living shit out of it.
The 90s were the peak brood. Yeah, they were. With all the goth shit and everything going on. Yeah, they were. And media like The Crow just facilitated that. It just perpetuated that into mockery and satire, really, is where it all
The last thing, I'm going to say one last thing, and then you have to hurry up and do yours. Because
I'm not even going to do mine tonight. We got I'll save it for next time. It's fine. Whatever.
All I was going to say was every now and then I think about Denis Leary and I think about The Crow and I think about the impact that they had on me. And I know it's pointless to dwell, and that's why I try not to dwell, but I say to myself, was it a waste of time?
Was what a waste of time?
To
like liking that shit?
To be brooding and to be aggravated. Like, should I have tried harder to not be those things? You know what I mean? And it's a nuanced question. It's not a black and white question.
No, I know. But here's the thing. If you don't have somebody to teach you that what you're doing is retarded, then why would you ever think otherwise? Right? Kids need guidance. Kids are stupid, and they're just going to go wherever their feelings take them in whatever directions. And unless there is somebody there to actually mentor you in some way and say, look, this is stupid. This whole brooding shtick you got going on, it's a little dumb.
After high school, you need to do less of this and more like learning a trade, that kind of thing. That's what a mentor is going to tell you. Well, a certain kind of mentor.
They'd probably be on you by the time you hit like puberty. Like, all right, come on, get over yourself.
So do you know the details of Brandon Lee's death?
It just had something to do with like a prop gun or something that was loaded.
Yeah.
Basically the same way his dad died.
Apparently, I don't know if I'm getting this right. I hope I'm mostly getting this right. After I'm done with this explanation, we should check the chat again. I think that there was a gun that had a fake bullet in it, but for whatever reason, traces of gunpowder made it into the gun. I don't know why the gun was ever used for anything that ever needed a real bullet.
They always do that, though. They always use the real guns that have had real bullets in them. That's how Baldwin ended up shooting that camera girl.
Is it that the fake bullets have like a trace amount in them, so it makes the popping noise?
They're just firing blanks.
They're firing blanks, but
blanks have gunpowder in them. That's what the explosion is that you hear.
And something fucky happened. Something got lodged. Something created enough force that a bullet came out at an actual.
Was it a bullet though, or was it just some kind of piece of shrapnel or something?
I think it was. I don't know, but I think it was a bullet.
Maybe it was. I don't remember.
And it was.
I just remember when it happened.
I think it was pretty close range, point blank range, that the shooting in the scene happened, and yeah, it killed him. But a lot of people speculate that the whole thing was a setup.
Yeah, that was murder.
Yeah,
sure. There was a conspiracy
by the same mafiosos that had Bruce Lee killed.
Wow.
That's
what I heard.
I'm 99% sure that there was an episode of Unsolved Mysteries about that. Like unless it's a false memory, I'm remembering that they actually talked about that on an episode.
Well, I remember it being pretty popular with the conspiracy people, especially people who were fans of Bruce Lee.
Right. Terribly upsetting. Like, come on, man. That guy had nothing but a promising future ahead of him.
Yeah.
Maybe The Crow 2 would have been a different dynamic of him somehow passing some form of a torch to the new guy.
Every brooding goth chick in the world just wanted him so bad, too. He had everything going for him. He was going to be the next Brad Pitt.
The black panties were sopping at the near side of him.
Yep.
That's how that goes. All right, what do we got, man?
All right.
The 90s was peak brood.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. That's when we discovered what brooding could be.
So the t-shirt that when I saw the first Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movie, it lasted quite a while. Honestly, it was one of the longest lasting shirts I've ever owned.
One of those thin promotional ones?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's...
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if
actually, I still have a 90s X-Man shirt that I still wear.
I bet it got washed in cold water. I bet you washing it in hot water is what really fucking...
Well, that does that to any shirt, though.
But I mean, those more so. What did Alicia say? Guilty goth chick here. I was in love with Brandon Lee. Hey, me and you both, sister. High five.
Oh yeah, everybody was. Even boys had crushes on him.
I mean, a little bit.
He was a good-looking fucking dude. Absolutely.
The voice was smooth as butter. I mean, come on, fuck.
Yeah, there's no reason not to be kind of gay for him.
Yeah, and be super sad that he's gone. I kind of want to watch The Crow again. Fuck, so good.
I kind of want to watch it again just because it did have that big pop culture impact, but
there are certain
I remember
lines.
more of that than I do the actual movie. I really don't remember the movie, and I saw the movie probably 3 times. But to me, it was just kind of, it was a good action movie, but I didn't feel like I wanted to be gothy from it. I didn't get that from it at all. It had exactly the same impact on me that watching The Craft had. That's why I brought up The Craft. Because to me, they were kind of the same movies. It was just one was
and The Crow
more for dudes and one was more for chicks.
And The Crow had the same impact on me that hearing that Tool song had on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if one of the reasons you liked it a little more is because your senses were heightened because you were in the middle of
because I was
the horizontal lava lamp mambo. Yeah.
Okay. Did you had that Dial-E call-in that you wanted to play?
Dial-E call-in, indeed.
Okay. I'm really sorry, Corey and Andy. I don't have anything for call-in this week.
Aw.
And I don't have anything insightful for you guys.
No cool Dial-E puns?
I'm sorry. I was cheering on Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. Anyway,
lost his voice from that. That's why.
You guys inspired me to try my hand at Valentine's cards. So I can go on now, wondering whatever happened to Richard Simmons.
Whatever did happen to that guy?
Whatever did happen to Richard Simmons? I've heard different things, and it's mostly...
The last time I looked into it, I saw a bunch of conspiracy shit, but I don't know that was ever resolved.
I think he just got social anxiety and just wanted to be a recluse and get away from people.
That's crazy.
Because making fun of him was way too easy, and he must have just got sensitive about it.
Yeah, but he's Richard fucking Simmons. He doesn't... Oh, you're Richard fucking Simmons, and you're going to let some assholes on Reddit or Twitter make fun of you, and that's going to, scare you out of public life?
It's sad to say.
You have a fucking dance party.
Sad to say it, but
you
apparently...
sweat to the oldies every time somebody says something mean to you. That's what you got to do.
I'm upset about it too. Don't get me wrong.
That's crazy.
I read some headlines. I read some headlines 2 weeks ago that there were rumors of a biopic about him where Pauly Shore would play Richard Simmons.
I can see that.
And he poked his head out of the woodwork from his obscurity, from his hiding from society, just to let everybody know he wouldn't be okay with that.
What?
Yeah, that's a thing. Yep, he wouldn't. He's like, I don't give this my blessing. Come on, bro.
Fuck him. Make fun of him. Make fun of him more. Make fun of him till he kills himself, not just hides away in his house. What an asshole. That sounds like a great thing.
Trying to take work away from Pauly Shore after all Pauly Shore has given us.
That's what you're mad about? That it's Pauly Shore that...
You're not?
I don't care about Pauly Shore. I just want to see the biopic about Richard Simmons. I think that would be awesome, and I think Pauly Shore would be a good guy to do it. I don't care if Pauly Shore dies of hunger in the streets for not getting paid to do his Richard Simmons thing. I don't care. Anyway.
I want Biodome too, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. I believe that. Oh, but you were here for the Super Bowl. I actually was cheering for Taylor Swift too. Andy can fucking verify.
I can attest to
no
that,
lie.
yeah.
Every time she came on TV, I was like, Taylor, yeah.
Look what she's doing now. Like, you were into it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was way into it. I love her so much.
So Diley was cheering way too loud for Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl, lost his voice, didn't feel like trying to do a funny call-in, so he's doing something funny visual. But I'll put funny in quotation marks until we see what he's got here.
More Diley puns. Alicia says, I just talked to my tattoo guy 2 days ago about this. Oh, about my next sleeve. It's going to be a crow theme.
Fuck yeah.
Comic book art. That's how you do it. That's going to look badass. That's going to look awesome.
Alicia's birthday is coming up in a couple months. I might just have to donate to the tattoo fund.
It's a good call. I would,
only if I can officially own 1 square inch of the tattoo.
Alicia, when you get it done, you got to send us a picture of it so we can put it on here.
Yes, and draw up paperwork so I legally own 1 square inch of your skin.
And a contract so that when you die, Andy can go and claim it from you. All right. Anyway, let's see. What did Diley send in? Let's get rid of my shit here. Doesn't she look fucking good there, though? She looks professional. She looks classy. She's hot as fuck.
I'm going to agree with you.
I take back everything bad I said about her. Okay. So Diley made some Valentine's cards, huh? Not being my Valentine would be a catastrophe. Ha ha.
I would gladly give that to a classmate in 5th grade.
That would have been cool. That'd be better than half the shit we ended up giving to people.
Better than those stupid Michael Jordan ones.
Yeah, those literally
so pissed me
dumb.
off.
Yeah, those were really dumb.
I'm like, this has nothing to do with anything.
But I remember getting shit like that all the time for Valentine's Day, too. All right, what do we got? We got the catastrophe one. Oops. Meow and forever be my Valentine. Mm-hmm.
I don't. I'm at a loss of words. It's just the worst pun ever.
All I need is love.
Love.
Be my Valentine. Oh, being my Valentine would be a pair of dice.
Would be pair of dice.
Would be pair of dice.
I'll give that one an A for effort. And last but not least, no, go back to it. You're under cardiac arrest for stealing my heart.
But you know he's talking about somebody's real heart that got ripped out of their chest right here.
That's clearly what makes it hilarious.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. All right. Thank you, Diley, for the Valentine's cards. We'll be sure to pass those out in class next year.
Heck yeah. Thank you to everyone who chimed in the chat. This was awesome. I needed a little bit of a springboard to talk about Denis Leary and the Crow because I didn't know what to say other than I loved them and just bounce off of that. I didn't have anything insightful, just like they made an impact on me and still stuck with me now at age 42. That's it. So,
and I had nothing to talk about at all. I just literally made something up, and Monica Lewinsky was a good topic, though. I'm proud of her. She's an American success story.
I would have to say so. Yeah. I like her better than Hillary, but anyways, thanks for joining us.
So did Bill.
Like and subscribe and smash buttons, right?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Yeah, we got to say that shit. I always forget to do that.
We're on, the podcast is on Apple Music now too. Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So most podcast apps draw from Apple Podcasts' search algorithm to find podcasts. For whatever reason, when I set it up on Lisbon, it didn't automatically set up on Apple Podcasts like it did every other platform. I had to go in there and manually do it, but it is on every podcast app now. So anybody can find it. It's all good to go.
Very nice.
But watch it on YouTube. It's so much better to watch, and then you guys can chat, jump in the chat, and make it even more fun.
It's better that way, but do what you can.
I
do what you want.
Better that way.
Don't do it that way. Don't care. You want to theme song us out?
Okay.
Fucking A.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Next week, I'm bringing in Chris Rock for one, and I don't know what for the other one. And
I'm bringing in my topic I didn't talk about today because we're already at 9 o'clock again.
right? Crazy.